Resourceful Designer, Episode 2. Your clients even know what you do?
Welcome to the Resourceful Designer Podcast, offering solutions to streamline your graphic and web design business so you can get back to designing. And now, your host, he can never seem to keep his desk clean, Mark DeCote.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day, your evening, your morning, whenever it is you're listening to. I think it's awesome that you've decided to take this little bit of your day and listen to what I have to say and hopefully improve your design business and bring it to the next level. Now, today I'm going to talk about a simple but often overlooked trick that I use to squeeze more work out of my clients. And no, I do not revert to any sort of extortion or blackmail. Now, before I get to that, I want to talk to you about something that I'm hoping you've already thought about, and that's backups. One of the scariest things I can think of as a designer is what would happen if disaster strikes and I lost all my computer files. What would it mean for my business? Can you imagine losing all of your fonts, all your applications, all your photos, your correspondence, and worst of all of your client files? Scary, isn't it? Well, I hope, like me, that you have some sort of backup strategy, maybe involving backup drives, running some sort of backup software like Apple's Time Machine. Now, that's great in case of a hard drive crash or even just retrieving deleted files. But what happens if somebody breaks in and steals your equipment? Or worse, if there's some sort of fire or other natural disaster and you lose everything? Could you recover? Now, that's something I used to worry about. But last year, after doing some research, I decided to sign up with Backblaze. Backblaze offers unlimited online backup for all your files for only $5 a month. Or less if you purchase a 1-year or 2-year package. And it's just so easy. All I did when I signed up was just install the software and forget about it. Backblaze works in the background, automatically backing up your files. And if you ever do lose your data for whatever reason, you won't have to worry because you'll know that everything can easily be restored from Backblaze. Now, if you're interested in finding out more about Backblaze's online backup solutions, visit resourcefuldesigner.com/backup. Now, as designers, be it a graphic designer or a web designer, we're always looking to find new clients. Clients are our bread and butter. Without clients, we're out of a job. But of course, finding new clients can be a challenge. It can be intimidating, it can be hard, and face it, it's just not fun. Now, I did write a blog post on Resourceful Designer about 10 proven ways to attract design clients. And I've used all those methods over the years, and they have worked. So I encourage you to check that out. But there's something that we often forget about, and that's the wealth of potential you have already in your existing clients. Chances are they have some sort of job that you could do for them. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's great, but if they need something from me, they'll just contact me. But the problem is that your clients may not know what you do. This sounds crazy, right? But believe me, it's true. When your clients first sought you out, they hired you to do a specific job. Maybe they hired you to design a website. Maybe it was a flyer. Maybe it was a logo or a product package. Who knows? But that's what they sought for. They sought somebody to do that specific thing. And they may not know that you do other things. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there that don't know what a graphic designer or web designer does. And I know this firsthand. When I finished school, I worked at a printer for 15 years. During that time, I did work for thousands of clients. And it never ceased to amaze me when they'd ask me if I was able to do something else. I don't know if it was because I was working at a printer, but the same thing happened on my own when I started my own business. I mean, when I worked at this printing company, some people just came in because they needed business forms, and there was no really designing involved. It was just horizontal and vertical lines with some wording and places for signatures and very, very boring work. But then out of the blue, when you're showing them a proof of their newest contract or whatever form you did for them, they would ask you, says, do you guys do flyers? And yes, of course we do flyers. We're graphic designers. We do all that stuff. Or somebody out of the blue would ask, do you guys design logos? And yes, we do all that. But they didn't know that. And as I said, when I started my own business, I thought, well, maybe that was just happening because I was working at a printer and people were not necessarily going there for design work. They were going there for printing. It was just convenient that there was a design studio in the print shop. But no, when I started my own business, the same thing started happening. I had a client right from the start, and I still have them. 10 years later, they're my oldest client. Every week, I design one newspaper ad for them. They want something new and fresh. So for the past 10 years, I've designed a new newspaper ad for them without fail. And yet not too long ago, one of them was asking about something and asked me if I knew anybody that would design a logo for them. I was shocked. They didn't even think of asking me if I would design a logo. As far as they were concerned, I did ads. And when I told them that, yes, I can do logos and I could do all sorts of other stuff, they said, oh, we didn't know that. We had somebody else do a flyer for us, or we had somebody else do a poster for us because we didn't know that you did that as well. Clients sometimes don't realize what you do, the scope of what you're capable of. Now, unless your agency specializes in a certain niche, like you only do package design, or you're a branding agency, in which case they come and they know exactly what you do and that's all you do. If you're just a general graphic designer like I am, chances are your client doesn't know the scope of your ability. I mean, sometimes it's so simple that I was flabbergasted. I had a client that I designed a website for, and a few months after I designed their website, they contacted me saying that they wanted to do some online advertising and asking if I knew anybody that designed web banners. To that client, web banners and websites were two completely different things, and they didn't realize that it's the same skill sets to do though. I did get the job and I did do the web banners, but it just reinforced that sometimes your clients don't know what it is you do. And it's not just that. Even my brother-in-law, who knew me before I became a designer, I've designed his logo, I designed his business cards, I designed a couple of websites for him over the years. And yet, not too long ago, he contacted me to ask me who I knew that would design a rack card for him. Now, I thought he was just saying that in jest. You know, the type of thing like you would ask your photographer friend, gee, I wish I knew somebody that had a good camera who could take my picture. But no, my brother-in-law wasn't joking. He was sincerely asking me if I knew anybody that could design a rack card for him because he didn't know I did rack cards. And in his mind, designing was not a broad term. I designed business cards. I designed websites. I designed logos. But because I never told him I designed rack cards, he didn't know it was something I can do. Now that happened a few years ago, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And after that, I really started to realize that a lot of my clients that I do certain jobs for, that's the only job I do for them. And I'm sure that these clients had needs, other requirements that could have used my skills. So a few years ago, I decided to put my theory to a test. And I did something very easy, something that you can do today. Because I have the email addresses to all my clients, I sent them an email. And this was before using email lists like MailChimp or Aweber or Constant Contact or anything like that. I just composed an email and sent it individually to each of my clients. And it went something like this. Hi, thanks for the last job that we did together, and I would name the job. I had a great time working on that project. Since we've worked together, I've done some other great things for other stuff. I've designed a t-shirt for such and such a team. I designed a poster for a local theater company's next production. I created the logo for this startup. I did a flyer for this nonprofit group, and keep an eye out around town for this such and such a truck, because I designed the artwork that's on the side of it, and it's sure to catch some eyes. And then I would finish up the letter just saying, I just wanted to let you know that I'm available if there's anything else you need me to do. Well, an amazing thing happened after I sent that letter. My phone immediately started ringing with clients asking me to design things they didn't know I did. I had a client call me up and says, I didn't know you designed t-shirts. And I explained to them that designing a t-shirt is no different than designing anything else. It's just the medium the thing's printed on. But to them, they said that they get t-shirts done all the time and they are always looking for somebody or going to different companies to have them done. They didn't know that they could keep their branding consistent by having me design t-shirts. By mentioning the truck wrap that I had done, I ended up getting a few jobs from local clients that wanted me to design something for their vehicles as well. Even the fact that I mentioned I did a flyer for a nonprofit group. Now, I'm not talking pro bono work here. This was paid work. It just happened to be for a nonprofit group. Some of my existing clients who were on the board of directors for other nonprofit groups reached out and said, oh, I didn't know you did work for nonprofits. So there's a case that they knew what sort of work I did. They just didn't know what sort of clients I dealt with, which is another whole different thing to worry about. So since I sent out that first mail, I do it on a regular basis. Now, I'm not talking weekly or even monthly, but every couple of months or so, 2 to 3 months, I'll send out an email to all my clients, just telling them what I've been up to, what sort of work I've done. And the clients I did the designs for love the publicity. And it never fails that I'll get 1 or 2 phone calls afterwards from somebody saying, oh, I didn't realize you did that. Or sometimes it's not that they didn't realize I did that, is they didn't realize they needed that. You'd be amazed at how many t-shirts I've designed for companies that didn't even know before they got my email that they wanted t-shirts designed. It was only after they received my email that they thought up, a t-shirt for this such and such event coming up would be a great idea. I better call Mark. So there you have it. It's a very simple, effective way of getting more business. We spend so much time trying to get more clients, trying to drum up business that way, that sometimes we forget about our existing clients and that they can have work for us. They just don't know that the work is suitable for us. We have to let them know, and we have to keep letting them know. Because even though a client soon realizes that you design t-shirts or you design websites, that's another big one. I have print clients that for years didn't know I did websites, or vice versa. I've designed websites for clients and they didn't know I also designed for print. But just because they learn that stuff doesn't mean they know everything. You got to keep informing them. Another great thing to do is if you design something very innovative for somebody or come up with something different, let people know, because it's something that might help their business as well. Years ago, I designed a small fold-over card that when closed is roughly 4.5 inches by 3 inches. And when you open it up, there was slits to put my business card in. On the cover of the card, I would have my logo. And then when you opened it up, I had a little message printed saying, thank you for your business. Here are a few business cards. I would love if you would pass them around and refer people to me. And then in the slits, I would put 3 or 4 or 5 business cards, and anything I would do. Back then, I was physically mailing out invoices. Now everything's done through email. But every time I'd send an invoice, I'd put one of those cards with 3 or 4 business cards in it. And you'd be amazed at how much that worked. Not just the fact that the cards were being given out and I was getting referrals, but I ended up designing similar card holders for a bunch of my clients because they thought it was a very innovative idea with different messages, asking people to refer them, thanking people or whatever. But just because I sent that one out myself, I ended up getting a bunch of clients asking me to design them for them. And even though I don't use those cards myself anymore because I very rarely mail anything out, I do have some clients that still order those cards from me on a regular basis. So that's just an example of letting your clients know you do something that they might not know they need or they might not know exists. Rack cards are a great example. Many clients get flyers done, but they don't realize that rack cards. Now, I don't know in your neck of the woods if they're called rack cards. Where I am, a rack card is roughly a 4-inch by 9-inch card printed both sides with information. They're made to fit in the same racks that a flyer would, but they don't fold out. It's just a 2-sided card. And they've become really popular around my area. And they're so much less expensive to produce than a traditional folded flyer. And yet so many clients don't know about them. So whenever I mention that I did a rack card for somebody, sometimes a client will ask me, what's this rack card? And when I explain it to them, they'll say, oh, we could use that. And next thing you know, I've got a new job to do. So that's pretty well it for this episode. I just want to let you know that it is possible that your clients don't know what it is you do or don't know everything that you do. And it's your job to let them know, because the more they know about you, the more they're going to want to use you, because it's so much easier for them to deal with one person than to have to deal with one person for their website, one person for their stationery, somebody else for their t-shirts. If you are a designer that does it all, let your clients know and keep reminding them because they will forget. Now, if there is any topics that you'd like me to cover in a future episode, I would love to hear from you. What sort of struggles, what sort of problems do you have in your design business that you might like me to talk about, to discuss? If there is, send me an email at feedback@resourcefuldesigner.com and let me know, and I'll try to cover it in a future episode. And please visit resourcefuldesigner.com, check out the blog posts I have there. As I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I have one there you might be interested in titled 10 Proven Ways to Attract Design Clients. And I've tested out each one of those methods. Now in my next episode, I'm going to be interviewing an award-winning photographer, and I'm going to talk to him about how designers can better communicate with the photographers they hire in order to get the best possible pictures for their projects. Now don't forget to check if Backblaze would be a good fit for your backup solution, because trust me, you do not want to experience some sort of disaster and you lose all your files. So for more information, visit resourcefuldesigner.com/backup. So that's it for this episode. I'm Mark DeCote, reminding you to stay creative.
Thanks for listening to the Resourceful Designer Podcast at resourcefuldesigner.com.